One question we hear from our customers is about data mobility. Now, how can we help our customers in terms of data mobility from, either of the clouds to either of the clouds, right? Like could be from public cloud to the Dell Apex cloud, or it could be from Dell Apex to the public cloud. How could we help our customers? There could be multiple of options, but, in this demo, could you tell us how we are addressing that?
So you see, basically in this exhibit, what we are trying to highlight is on your left-hand side, you see EKS cluster running in AWS. Mm-hmm. And this is basically, augmented by the infrastructure as a service provider being EC2 plus EBS, right? Mm-hmm. So the nature of the beast is that, you will have a persistent workload. Where do you persist this? In AWS, you persist it on EBS. The cluster runs on a aggregate of these EC2 instances. On the right-hand side, what you see is an EKS Anywhere cluster, which is actually a set of virtual machines. Like I said, this can also be delivered on bare metal. In this case, we will be doing a virtual. We'll be developing and deploying a EKS Anywhere cluster on a set of virtual machines. Right. In this case, this virtual machines could be running in a VMware validated design kind of mode or a HCI stack or whatever, right? Now, the point is you see a EKS Anywhere cluster, okay? And on top of that, basically you have the EKS distro supported by EKS Anywhere. And the persistence layer basically in this case will be our power store array, which is integrated through iSCSI in this case. But you could have other options also like a PowerScale or a Unity or a PowerMax or whatever, right? CSI is largely supported across all distributions. So the point is that from a persistence layer, you have EBS on the left-hand side, you have PowerStore on the right-hand side, you have EC2 instances on the left-hand side, you have Ubuntu VMs on the right-hand side, and here it's Amazon EKS, here it's EKS Anywhere actually. But the point of greater importance is that what sits in the middle here, right? Now, this is where our data protection solutions actually come into play, where you have a combination of what we say is Power Protect Data Manager, which is an orchestrator of sorts to actually help customers transition Kubernetes resources from A to B. And that A to B could be either this way or this way, doesn't matter. In this case, we are looking at a repatriation or a migration use case. The other use case could be a cloud DR, where you have workloads running on EKS Anywhere, and in eventuality, you want to actually do a cloud DR onto AWS and then bring back those workloads when your DR is over. So DDVE is basically a virtual edition of data domain. This is where the backup storage targets actually lie. And in this particular demo, we will be deploying our DDVE close to where the source is. That's more logical. And this is going to be deployed in AWS, right? And Power Protect Data Manager can be run on premises or in any of the clouds and all that. So the point here is this itself becomes a multi-cloud, aspect of sorts, where you have our solution for data protection that can run on premises or in any choice, any cloud of choice. Here, we are running it inside of AWS, the DDVE, and this is on premises, which is a VM installed with the right configurations and the application software for data protection. Now, what we will do is we will be in the previous blog and the videos, we have highlighted that as a use case, we are taking SockShop as a sort of reference use case, right? And we will take this particular application, deploy it here, and then create the backups so that the snapshots of this application along with everything else, and then I'll talk a little bit more to that, what is the nature of this application. We will create a snapshot of this. These snapshots are stored inside of this data domain. And then when the time comes to either migrate or repatriate, you basically move it onto a cluster of your choice. Okay. Here, although we are showing EKS Anywhere and EKS, you can also extrapolate this example to, let's say you have a GKE cluster running.
Yeah.
Or a Rancher running, or an OpenShift running, or anything else running, and anywhere.
Or even Tanzu, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
Or even Tanzu as well, right?
Even Tanzu as such. The point is that, this could be anything and anywhere actually. And the destination could be anything and anywhere. Yeah. Although we are showing here a specific use case, from an EKS and EKS and ES standpoint, just to highlight the fact that, like to like kind of distributions, how do you manage it? It could be anything, anywhere. So let me talk a little bit more about this application in context. This is the reference use case. It brings together a totality of, the complexities that developers typically entail while building their microservices based architectures, right? So this is a polyglot application. Polyglot in the sense that, you do see different kind of, runtimes in terms of, Java is there, Spring Boot, Go. At the same time, you have different kinds of databases actually running here. Mongo, MySQL, RabbitMQ from a queuing perspective. Plus you have Redis and all that. And some bit of, in terms of the networking pieces actually, right? In this case, I'm showing MetalLB because on premises, you will need MetalLB as a replacement for NLBs that will run inside of AWS, right? And again, persistence layer, as I said, it could be any CSI storage. Here we will consider EBS and PowerStore. So this is an e-commerce platform, and we will actually experiment and play with this platform from a use case standpoint. What do we want to showcase is, or what do we want to kind of, backup and protect and migrate and repatriate is, this is what the namespace looks like actually for SockShop on a particular Kubernetes cluster. There are 8 microservices, there are 6 data services, and then there is an aspect of SSL, which means that there will be TLS secrets and ingress resources created for the application. Now, think of it, right? If you were to, I can't fathom the fact that, if you have to individually move, take snapshots, Kubernetes does provide for snapshots and everything, for PVCs and all that. But think of it on a disaster basis or in a migration sense. You don't want to kind of end up in a lot of effort, in migrating this complex architecture step by step. And you can just extrapolate or, multifold this particular use case. And if you have many other PVCs and, other artifacts which are a part of the resource group, it'll just become complex. That's where the Power Protect Data Manager comes into play, where it grabs the entire namespace and then along with the metadata in that namespace, it takes all of that, punts it to a snapshot storage, and then moves it as and when required from a restore operation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, sounds very interesting, right? So, like you say, it's time to get our hands dirty, I suppose, and I look forward to see us, experimenting and playing around with the demo. Yeah.
Sure. Cheers.
Cheers. See you on the other side. Yeah.